Every year, more than 5,000 teenage drivers die in passenger vehicle crashes, slightly more than half as drivers, the rest as passengers. We're going to tell you 3 stories about some new drivers. In each story, the driver made choices, and each choice has a set of consequences. Though the choices may seem unimportant, they are not. Our first story takes place in central Connecticut. Tejal Lakhani is a junior in high school. She's a member of everything: the Future Business Leaders of America, the Math and Science Clubs, the Human Relations Council, Student Council, French Club, Latin Club, the Asian Committee, and Cultural Awareness Day. In her spare time, Tejal works at a factory outlet store, about 20 to 25 hours a week.
My car isn't a luxury, it's a necessity for me. On a normal school day, like at 2:15, I would have like a school meeting, a club meeting or something, and they last about till 3:15, 3:30. And then I was doing an internship with an insurance company, and that would start like right at 3:30, so I would have like about 10-15 minutes to get there, and that would be till like 5:30, and then I would go to work at 6, so I gave myself enough time to grab something to eat or whatever and get to work. And I work till 10, so when I get home it's 10:30, and then I'm doing my homework or studying for a test or whatever.
Our second story takes place in an affluent New England suburb. Michelle Petit is a junior in high school. Her schedule is a busy one too. She works 2 jobs and is involved in church and community activities. Driving is very important to Michelle.
Usually after school, I either go to work or I go babysitting or something like that. I'm not involved in after-school activities because I have to work. But usually I'm home for dinner until like 7, and then I go out with my friends, or I'm involved in like our youth club and different like clubs in the town.
Our third story takes place in the southwestern part of the country. In Beaumont, Texas, it's 10 or 15 miles to everything. The roads are flat and straight, and you can see forever, or at least you think so. Jeff Majors was a star athlete at Beaumont High School. A member of the varsity football team, Jeff had hopes of a career in the NFL, but things didn't work out the way he planned.
I had lots of tickets. I drove fast. Lots of little minor accidents. Nothing big, smashing, serious, but I had lots of little mishaps from driving carelessly or fast, or, just like most young kids do.
A few things about my son and his interest. He loved motorcycles. He liked to work on them. He liked to ride them. He was very good. He'd won quite a few races. He was a very good student, and he was just an all-round boy.
Nearly 25% of all teen accidents involve speeding.
I think I'm a pretty safe driver because I try to obey the laws and everything, and except for a little bit of speeding here and there. But I mean, like, I have a busy schedule, so in order for me to get to someplace, I have to speed sometimes,
I was just going along the street normally, and I was probably going like 5 or 10 miles over the speed limit, and it was raining. And I saw a car that had stopped, and it had its blinker on to make a left-handed turn. And I put on my brakes, and I realized that I was skidding and I was hydroplaning. And of course, your learning driver said, you know, pump your brakes, but of course your first instinct is to slam on those brakes, and that's what I did. And then I tried to get around him and it didn't work, and bam. So nobody was hurt, but I paid for it.
The night of the accident was a perfectly clear night. It wasn't raining or snowing or anything out of the usual. It was cool. It was, we were driving on a highway that had a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit. I was probably, I don't remember exactly how fast I was going, but I always drive about 60 or 65 in a 55. I'm sure, you know, when I went to get off that exit, I was doing about 60 miles an hour. And I probably hit the tree doing pretty close to 60 miles an hour.
The reason they were out that night was they were celebrating the fact that they had just opened their business. It was, that was on a Saturday, and they were due to open it and already had customers lined up for Monday morning.
Alcohol is responsible for almost half of all teen motor vehicle deaths.
I don't give myself the choice. I just make the decision that I will not ever, you know, drink and drive, because that's just what I chose.
I've taken the keys away from people who have been drinking, and I've given people rides home who have the keys to their car but they're drinking. They have drank, but they don't want to drive home, or I don't let them drive home and they just leave their car there and I'll drive them home. And I don't have a problem picking them up the next morning, bringing them to where their car is, you know. I don't want anybody driving home drunk, because that puts me at risk and that puts them at risk, and I don't need to lose any friends, so.
We went out kind of late. We didn't go out until like 10:30 or 11. And we left when the bar closed at 2. But during that little amount of time, we drank quite a few drinks. And it, you know, I guess it wasn't that we drank so much, it's that we drank, you know, quite a bit in a small period of time. Like I say, my blood alcohol level was high, but I didn't feel like I couldn't drive. By the same token, I knew I probably couldn't pass a breath test, but I felt like I could control a car.
Certainly, in Michael's instance, when he made the decision to get in the car with his friend, he did not get in there saying, I'm not going to survive this ride. He got in trusting with his friend that they were going to get to their destination.
Half of all teenage traffic fatalities occur between 6 p.m. Friday and 3 a.m. Sunday.
Mostly I am concerned about other people's driving at night.
There probably have been a couple times when she's stayed out later than what we've agreed upon and not called in, and so I find I do get anxious about that.
I always wanted to know, like on weeknights, you know, he was in by like 10 o'clock. On weekends, if he was out anywhere at all past midnight, you know, I wanted him to call me and tell me where he was and so on.
The phone rang at approximately 5 o'clock on a Sunday morning, and it was Michael's older brother, my oldest son, John. And John said, Dad, Michael's been involved in an automobile accident and he didn't make it.
In 1 year, drivers 19 and under were involved in close to 3 million accidents.
I get a good student discount and an honor student's discount. About 20%, 10% each, I think.
My insurance tripled. Right now I'm paying more for my insurance than I'm making with work, so I'm not breaking even. Hopefully this summer, you know, I'll be making more, but right now it's just in a tough position, and after that you're gone with money.
I was incarcerated for a period of time. I was put on probation for 10 years. Probation includes, you know, a lot of people don't think of it as that, but it includes a big loss of freedom. I mean, you can't leave the state, you can't leave the country. You can't leave the county without permission. You can't own a gun. I used to love to hunt. I can't do so many of the things. I have to be in the house by 9 o'clock every night. If I'm not, I can be arrested and thrown in jail and given more probation and more jail time and so forth. It just affects you daily.
Automobile accidents are the #1 killer of our nation's youth.
If you can put yourself in that position, if you can just imagine what it would be like to lose everything that you own, everything that you love, all your freedom, a good friend. I mean, to think of your best friend sitting there and you being responsible for him dying, if you can just put yourself in that position for just a minute, then you'll make the right decision. You have to make the right decision because it can cost you too much if you don't.
Well, a lot of the sadness that I feel is certainly because that Michael will never have the opportunity to prove to not only himself but to make his mark in the world. That's been taken away from him, and at a very early age. And that's a very great tragedy to me. Not because it was my son, that's personal, but because he was a young person who is not going to have the opportunity to show the world what he can do.